Woo! First podcast. All right. Hello, guys. My name is LaynoProd. You're tuning in to the LaynoPod. You're tuning in to LaynoPod, the LaynoProd podcast. That's a tongue twister. I'm with my friend right here, Jason.
Hello.
Jason Cheng. Just introduce yourself real quick, like one sentence. Who is this guy? Like,
I'm Jason. I'm a grad student at USC, and I'm friends with James Layno. That's why I'm here.
That's the LaynoProd. Okay.
Okay, Laynoprod.
Let me crack open this green tea because I'm thirsty. All right. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Asian culture. As you can see in this Arizona green tea, it's kind of, I don't know. It says it's an American brand, so what do you think of just appropriation in general?
Appropriation? I mean, when people typically talk about appropriation, there's different like power dynamics, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a more powerful / privileged group adopting culture from less powerful groups and not giving them proper credit. Mm-hmm. I tend not to say it's appropriation when it's between like minority groups. I feel that's more of sharing.
Okay.
Whereas maybe if you're in a powerful white group, people usually call that appropriation.
Right.
But this is fine with me. Like, I like the design.
It's aesthetic.
These are Japanese flowers, I think.
Yeah.
Sakuras.
Cherry
Ginseng
blossoms.
honey, good for the Asian market.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know, just like let the audience know what's your background. What do you identify as in terms of race, culture within the Asian sphere? Yeah.
Yeah, so my identity has actually been somewhat of a struggle for me. So I grew up in Hong Kong, which was a former colony of the British Empire.
Yeah.
And it's really like a prime spot where East and West collide. The Hong Kong culture is very much a mix of both Eastern and Western elements. And growing up, I would be influenced by that, whether it's through my education, the food, a lot of different things.
Right.
At the same time, my family's also both Eastern and Western. My mom was from Canada, and my dad from southern China. Mm-hmm. So growing up, I had mostly Western influence in my family. Watching a lot of American media content, Sesame Street, Barney, and then going to Cartoon Network.
Okay.
And then falling in love with America through the NBA. Really.
Ball is life.
Yeah, ball is life. Ball is life. Ball is life.
Okay.
And Hong Kong's an interesting society because on one hand, they really respect Westerners. Mm-hmm. White people have higher standing in the society.
Right.
But at the same time, the Chinese people, which we were the majority in Hong Kong, they don't like other Chinese people to be too westernized. Ooh. Because they think, you're privileged, you're kind of selling out, you're not staying true to the local culture. Okay. So I was actually stuck in between those two. Right. I was more westernized than most of my peers. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I was, struggling to fit in, right, to a school and just general city that, preferred Chinese people to be more Chinese. Okay. So that's why when I came to America, I felt so much more at ease, despite not being American. Just because, in America, you have so many different cultures and ethnicities, all coexist, relatively peacefully. Right. And I felt that my identity could exist and thrive. Mm-hmm. And, I find that America is very much home to me now, and I really resonate with American values. So
Right.
Is Hong Kong still a place close to my heart? Yes, but I would say that at this stage of my life now, America is where I want to be.
Okay, so you get more, I guess, this sort of like acceptance when you're in America, just for like who you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's not
Yeah,
too many
definitely.
like comparison of like, oh, you're not Asian enough or you're not American enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, I mean, it can't be like that all the time, right? I'm assuming like there was some times in America when you were like, okay, bro, that was too racist, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you have any experiences of that? Like, can you recall any? Or
I wouldn't say I've had any explicitly like racist incidents.
maybe
Never
just like
experienced that.
like a light slap to the face, like
A light slap to
like
the
something
face.
that's a little offensive, but it's like I don't know, because I feel like as Asians, right? I guess we turn the other cheek a lot. I guess
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess that's how I was raised. Like if somebody were to be like, oh, like because in my school, right, I was not the majority. It was mostly Latino, right?
Yep.
And I had some friends that just assumed I was Chinese. I was like, no, I'm Filipino, right?
I feel.
Or they'll make fun of my eyes and all that. And I'm not saying they as in like just Latinos. I'm just saying my friends growing up, you know, there was that gap, that ignorance, and like that didn't really offend me. And like I didn't like go to my mom like, Mom, they said I was too chinky, or like they're making fun of my eyes. I don't know. It's kind of like passive, but I feel like over time it's like, man, that's messed up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there any experiences you've had like with that too? I guess where you grew up in America, yeah.
Well, my time here, you know, my undergraduate years and now first year of graduate school, I've been pretty lucky. You know, I hang out with primarily Asians.
Yeah.
So, you know, LA is such a diverse place. You know, you're not really like exposed to like explicitly like racist things all the time. Of course, you know, there's passing remarks and there's the vibe that you get from some other ethnic groups that maybe they don't really want to connect with you or really get to know, you know, what you're about.
Right.
There is some sort of distance, you know, that I feel with certain people, but you know that happens in every society, really.
Yeah.
And even within, you know, Asian groups, different Asian ethnicities, you also have racism as well.
Yeah, racism, colorism, like.
So, you know, it's natural. All you got to do is be proud of who you are, stand up for what you believe in, and I think try and bridge the cultural gaps by just having good conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like just like speaking to my family and just speaking on the colorism issue. Like even within Filipinos, like you have some Filipinos that are like more lighter skinned, probably because they have like more Spanish blood.
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
My mom's side of the family, like my grandma from my mom's side of the family, like she has more like Spanish blood, so they tend to be like lighter skin.
Yeah.
And then my grandpa's side, they have more like Chinese blood, so it's a little bit more like tan or yellow or brown, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I remember being like out of all my cousins, they'd kind of joke and say like, "Oh, I'm the darkest one," like it's like a bad thing, and I'm I guess like, I don't know. It's funny, right? I guess with beauty, the sense of beauty now, right? How like I guess a lot of cultures identify like lighter skin as like, I don't know, wealthier, but then you have like, I don't know, like a lot of these white girls trying to be tan, like it's like weird because it's like flipped in America, you know, like people want to be tan now, whereas Asia want to look like light as possible, right?
Right.
So,
and I mean, I don't know if that's influence of Western culture, but to your point, you know, there's a lot of divisions within groups, like for Chinese.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, at least, a lot of Hong Kong's mainly made of Southern Chinese.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't like people from the mainland who, you know, speak different dialects, you know, probably different level of education, and culture is also very different. So right now living in Hong Kong, you see that divide. People are scared of what mainland China will bring to Hong Kong, how it's going to exert its control, and so you have a lot of hostility of Hong Kong people towards other Chinese people, which is strange, because you're all actually the same. Well, basically the same.
Right.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to deal with, and I'm glad that I'm in the majority when I'm back home. But I don't like how there's this divide. I wish we would all just try and learn from each other and grow together.
Right. I see that the same with, I guess, with my experience being, I don't know, I consider myself Filipino American, right?
Yeah.
And both my parents were immigrants from Philippines, came here, had me. So I was born in America. Grew up with, both my families were pretty in tune with Filipino culture. But, for example, like my siblings, they were more raised by my grandparents who, they were only allowed to speak Tagalog in the house, right? And it was cool that over like 10, 20 years, they were able to retain it. And like, I guess with me, if I responded back in English to my parents, they wouldn't like get mad or like, they'd act like it's normal conversation. So what I'm trying to say is like, I do get the sense, I guess, when I went to Philippines, right, a few years back, how I wanted to learn more about my culture, but it was kind of like, damn, I have this like thick American accent. It's like not as easy for me to pronounce certain words in Tagalog. Like I could understand it, the official language, not the other dialects, because the dialects is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But I guess the language in itself is something I want to try to like learn more in the future, because like I eventually want to teach my kids that, right, and not lose that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that like I consider myself ethnically Filipino, but culturally American, in that a lot of the values I have is like, I guess, more individualistic, and I guess that's from American society. But my family itself, like when I go home, it's like Filipino teleseries, which are like dramas or novellas, right? That's going on. There's karaoke. There's my dad cooking Filipino food. Like, it's only like an American vibe once I leave the house. And when I meet other Filipinos, it's like I see a lot of Filipinos that I don't know, they I guess try to be white, or maybe that's what they grew up with. And I guess with my family too, it's funny when my parents, it can sound a bit racist, but when they tell me who I should like find as a significant other, they'll say either Filipino or white. I'm like, what's wrong with other colors? Like, what's wrong with Latinos? What's wrong with blacks? And I guess they're associating white with like security and like finances. And going on a lot of tangents, but I guess just me, because I didn't grow up with a lot of Filipino friends, right? I grew up mostly Latino friends in the Valley. A lot of my friends were like my cousins and my siblings. Like, we had a big family, and we were only Filipino like culturally when we were like interacting with our aunts and uncles. But like you said, basketball made us more American. Like, basketball is big in my family. We talk about basketball. We talk about video games. Like, all these entertainment aspects that are essentially American, like, that's what kind of united us. But I do feel also, like, caught in between worlds where it's like, man, I'm Filipino-American, very culturally American, but I really value my Filipino, like, culture, too. And when I meet another Filipino, like, who doesn't also speak Tagalog, then it's like, damn, I can't like learn from you. Or if I meet one that's like very Filipino, like there's that language barrier, and then so it's kind of like hard to find that balance sometimes when trying to like find friends that are also caught between worlds. So
I totally agree. As I said, I have this struggle too, but I think I had a very different experience from a lot of Asian Americans who live here. For a lot of them, they came as immigrants, whereas for me, I was never an immigrant. So naturally, growing up, I was very proud to be Chinese. Nothing to be ashamed of. Very proud of the culture, the history, And when I came over, I found it strange that some of the Chinese people that I met, either A, didn't know their Chinese names or didn't have any, B, didn't speak any Chinese, just didn't really have any sort of connection with their roots.
Right.
So even though I'm here, I do want to stay true to my roots and encourage Asians here, to be proud of Asia, be proud of the countries that you're from, be proud of being different, because Asia's on the rise now. China is leading the new world. And it's a great time to be Asian.
Definitely.
There's so much richness in all of our cultures. White people are now starting to understand, how good Asian food is and trying to make it hip and stuff. But
let's get into that.
We've been rocking with it for so long.
That's so true.
So I would say now, stand up, be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I really want to go into that food. Not only because it's lunchtime, guys, but I haven't ate lunch yet. But
yeah, man.
Talk about how just talk about how I guess Americans and white people are more accepting or craving the Asian cuisine, you know what I mean? And you can break that down however, with Chinese cuisine, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Vietnamese, Thai, all that. And what are some issues you see arising in that, or what are some gaps that still needs to be filled?
Yeah. So I think LA is already very progressive in terms of just how many different kinds of groups there are, and how they're allowed to coexist in their own little enclaves, Koreatown, Little Tokyo, authentic places.
Yep. Not Panda Express.
No.
Or what's it?
No,
PF Chang's.
I mean, I do enjoy some Panda Express.
I do. They're like Taco Bell. Taco Bell's not Mexican food,
guilty
but
pleasure.
It's good for something like Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, nacho fries. I actually tried that recently. It's pretty good. But anyways, my bad. You're saying, there's enclaves and
yeah. What I see the problem is, when you open, or these white chefs, open these new restaurants where they're combining, Asian flavors and Western flavors. If you do it responsibly and respectfully, then more power to you. But
what do you mean by responsibly and respectfully? Nailing the ingredients and
Yeah, you're doing your research, not pretending that you're the authority on it.
Not labeling a food item Asian just because it has teriyaki sauce.
Exactly. Yeah, Oriental.
I've seen that so many times in the dining halls here.
Yeah, you have sesame seeds in it, or I don't know. There's just a lot of that,
Yeah.
So doing it in a respectful way,
right,
I think is fine. But there's cases where it isn't, and I think you need to do that. You need to show that you understand what you're making. You respect the food and the people who made it.
Right. What's that show with it was with Rich Chiga and that one guy, that food guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Sean Evans?
Yeah, with Sean Evans. I was glad to see that. Mm-hmm. I want to see more of that with Filipino food, right?
Yeah.
Just there's not too many restaurants. I guess that's the difference with a lot of Filipino cuisine. A lot of it's man, the best one is my dad's cooking or my grandma's cooking, right? Have you had any experience with really bomb Filipino food at a restaurant? You think it's gonna blow up anytime soon? Obviously Chinese food is killing it in the map. Chinese food, Thai food, Japanese, Korean food, Vietnamese food, Indonesian food. I'm glad Rich Chiga put that out there. I didn't even know about all those dishes, and now I really want to try some.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think Filipino food is ever gonna because a lot of people my friends that try they're yeah, I've had chicken adobo, man. It's the best thing ever. Ube ice cream, bro, it's so good. I was man, I wish there was more opportunities of that rather than having to shop at the Filipino market or going to a Filipino restaurant. What are your thoughts on that? Have you tried any that you like?
I went to a Filipino restaurant in Glendale,
which is
last week.
What's it called?
I'm sorry, I don't remember now.
Is it Max's?
No.
Okay. That's a
no,
popular
but
one.
it was really, really good.
Okay.
And I do love Filipino food.
Dope.
I think there's space for traditional, traditional Filipino food, and that, I appreciate a lot. There's also space for fusion, new ways of fusion. Yeah, new ways of making Asian food, and by no means should you say, to be authentic, you have to never change and always stick to the tradition. I don't believe in that. I
like that. Yeah.
I think for food to, cross cultures, it has to fuse with other cultures too, right? You see, with Roy Choi and Kogi combining Korean and Mexican flavors.
Yes, dude.
And
it's blackjack quesadillas. My goodness.
Yeah, he's doing it really well. I guess he's one of the pioneering Asian chefs in America now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's merit to both, and I enjoy having both.
Yeah.
And I think for more people to take Asian food seriously, you gotta push the traditional and also new ways of making it.
Dang, that's true. Okay, curious. If you were to list your top 5 Asian cuisines, what would it be? If you want, I could start.
Asian. Yeah, what are yours?
Okay, I don't do this justice, but I just really like the flavors. Number 1 is Japanese food for me. Number 2 is Thai food. Number 3, man, I'm stuck between Chinese food and Filipino food.
Fair enough.
I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying even my dad, because he's a chef, right?
Oh,
I asked him what's his favorite thing to cook, what cuisine. He's obviously Filipino food, but he also likes doing Chinese food and Italian food.
Well, that's cool.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I see a lot of his influences when he cooks certain dishes, how it seeps in to even Filipino cuisine. I feel China has a lot of influence too in the Filipino cuisine.
Yeah,
but definitely. So Japanese food, Thai food. 3, I'm gonna put out a tie for what is it? Filipino food and Chinese food. 4, it might be Korean food, but forgive me guys, I can't do it justice. I've only had Korean barbecue, and that's not all Korean food. That's there's so much to it that I haven't tried yet. But yeah, so I think the 5th one would be maybe. I like Vietnamese food. Yeah.
Vietnamese, yeah.
Yeah,
me too.
I mean, 5th one maybe Vietnamese or Malaysian. Man, it's hard because I went to Malaysia too a few years back, and their street food is nuts. Dang, it's so good.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, what would be your top 5? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so for me, number 1, it's Hong Kong cuisine, which for a lot of people here they may not know, but which it's really a mix of East and West.
What are some staples of Hong Kong?
We have diners,
okay,
diner style restaurants. We call them cha chan teng.
Okay,
and they serve food that's kind of Western and kind of Chinese. So you'll have a lot of a signature dish is a baked pork chop rice, which is my favorite dish. With tomato sauce, with cheese.
Wow.
You have baked spaghetti with curry sauce.
Okay.
You'll have we have our own version of French toast.
Okay.
Where you put peanut butter inside and you fry. It's really good. It's better than the Western one.
Yeah. Sounds really good.
So yeah, that's number 1 for me. That's what I grew up eating.
Okay.
Second, I would say more broadly just Chinese, and of course that's a really big generalization. I mean, I love Shanghainese food. I love Southern, Guangzhou.
Okay.
Dim sum. Okay, so third, probably Vietnamese.
Yeah.
I like pho a lot.
Oh, who doesn't?
It's just very hearty, pure soup.
I gotta admit, with pho, it's the miracle soup.
Yeah, exactly.
Any sickness you have, you go out to eat pho, it fills you up. It clears your sinus. Sickness gone.
Yeah, and it's very fragrant and it's light.
It is light. Yeah.
You can eat a lot of different kinds and you're not gonna feel, bloated or anything at the end.
Maybe with the broth, the broth gets you.
Yeah. Okay, so third, Vietnamese, and then I'd say Japanese 4th.
Yeah.
I love Japanese curry.
Oof, I tried that for the first time. Japanese curry.
Yeah.
Damn. There's that spot in West LA. I forgot. Is it called Curry House? Do you know about
There's
that?
a couple of curry houses around.
Or
around
maybe
LA.
that's not the name. That might be like just what it's labeled as. But it's in like it's like the little Tokyo of West LA.
Yeah, Sawtell.
Yeah, Sawtell. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had that. It was really
Yeah,
good.
there's a curry house there.
Yeah.
There's an udon place there that's really good. Marugame Udon.
Okay.
One of my favorite restaurants here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, Thai.
Oh man, Thai food. Okay, what are some best Thai food you had here in America? What cities? I'm just curious. Like,
I mean, Thai town here is, I think, the biggest like Thai population in the U.S.
man, I haven't
The biggest Thai community.
Okay.
So I've had some good Thai food here. Isan Station is quite good.
Okay.
If you just explore Thai town, I mean, there's so many.
Man, I gotta check out Thai Town because I feel like I haven't had a single good Thai restaurant place in LA, and that's
Right.
because coming from the Valley, the San Fernando Valley, like there's a good amount of Thai people there too. And I grew up with some Thai friends, and there's like this one street, for those of you in the Valley, you'll know it's called Sherman Way. There's like literally 4 Thai restaurants like back to back, just like I don't know if they're all competing, but even like my brother-in-law says like he's gone around a lot of places in LA, and the Valley just has the best Thai food. Like, and it's like
Yeah.
you have like the fast food stuff, and then but you also have like the really like fancy like restaurant style stuff too. But
Okay.
what is your? I guess I gotta check out Toontown, Thai Town
Yeah.
soon. When you go to a Thai restaurant, what is like the main dish you gotta test out? I guess to see if this is like worth your time. You know, like
Oh, man.
what can they not do wrong?
I mean, disclaimer, I'm no Thai food expert.
Me neither. Like I just get the staples. Like
I mean, pad Thai is
Pad Thai,
the
yeah.
staple. You know, when
Yeah.
I always went to Thailand growing up because it was very close
Okay.
to Hong Kong, quite a cheap vacation spot.
yeah. Okay.
So we go to a lot of street markets and they'd have Thai food, like pad Thai, you know, on
I
like
heard it's
street
different.
carts. It's kind of like tacos here, you know.
Yeah, I heard
Just
it's
have a
different
giant
there
wok.
though. In Thailand, it's heard it's different. Like the taste.
It does
wise.
taste different. It's definitely more egg,
Okay.
more peanut flavor from what I remember.
Okay.
Really, really good.
That's bomb.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to talk about. This is not a smooth transition, but
It's
how does Asian culture play into relationships for you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. My parents have never been very, strict in saying, "Oh, you have to marry like a certain ethnicity." Obviously, they would prefer
Yeah.
Asian just because
They prefer. My parents
you have the
prefer
similar
to-
language.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like easier. You know?
they'll be able to, if they're Chinese at least, they'll be able to appreciate the culture much more.
Right.
And then they'll be able to pass on, the language more easily to kids. So I completely understand that. And my girlfriend now is Chinese. I would say I naturally gravitate towards
Yeah.
Chinese people. But as for how culture is affecting relationships, the person I want to be with, the person I'm with has to appreciate Chinese culture.
Yeah.
And they have to understand the traditions that I grew up with and be able to integrate relatively well into my family.
Okay.
I mean, like family is so important.
Yeah.
I love Asian cultures. And, adding like a new member, can be a stressful transition.
Yeah, dude, I feel that.
Yeah, it's mainly that. But it's a
Okay.
really high priority for me.
Yeah. For me, it's not a high priority, but maybe for my family it is. I remember, what is it? 2 of my cousins are dating a Latino person, and that was great. Just seeing them in the family gatherings, I'm like, this is dope. It's crazy because how a lot of like Filipino culture resonates with a lot of Latino culture too.
Yeah.
I guess because like the influence that Spain has, but similar to Asian cultures, I guess with Latinos too, right? Like the idea of family is like very strong, and I think for me, like I don't have a preference as of now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like open, but it is important that they do, like my significant other would respect the Filipino culture, or at least try to be interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of things I can be ashamed about for Filipino culture. I'll just be real. I'll start listing them out. One of them is pride, and it's kind of ironic that my logo and all that has like the Filipino logos. But that's just like, I feel I was having a talk with my friend just months ago how, at least for Filipinos, it's already hard for us to get a lot of representation. That's why we cheer on like the Manny Pacquiao's and the Bruno Mars and the Jordan Clarksons. Like, even though it's like some of those guys aren't fully Filipino, it's like it doesn't matter if you're like 1/8.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
We
because
have some skin in the game.
Yeah,
You know?
like we don't get that much representation, and like the whole like issue of like, are we brown? Are we yellow? Like, what are we both? Like, what are we? You know what I mean? Like, compared to I guess other Asians. But I guess, like one thing that's hard with Filipinos is like I see a lot of family members or friends, I guess we're just too prideful. But it makes sense, like we've, as a nation, we've gone through a lot, and like, so I see where that comes from. I guess same with China. We're really big copycats of America, like every game show, like we got like a version of Philippines. And it'll be the exact like name. It's just like a different host. Like,
that's all
which
good.
threw me. It's like a Deal or No Deal of the Philippines, all these like crazy shows. But I guess some like things are like also like a little bit shameful, like some food items, like about balut, right? Like people like talk about that. I can't.
Famous for being hard to eat.
I can't take balut, man. Okay, so for you guys who don't know, that balut is this like, it's like a dead geese fetus, something like that. Like, it's, I mean, anybody that's like animal rights activists, this podcast is not for you. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I love meat, and I gotta admit, like, balut, it tastes like chicken, egg, and shrimp combined, which doesn't sound bad, right? But
yeah, in theory.
But feeling like the feather, like I said, guys, it's a fetus. So you crack open the egg, and surprise, like it's the saddest thing you ever see, right? It's visually like nasty. You feel the feathers in the beak. It just makes you want to throw up. Like,
I don't plan to eat it.
Yeah,
anytime soon.
I have a few friends that are actually like down to eat balut, like they
goodness.
like balut, but I don't know, man. Like stuff like that. I guess stuff like what is it? Do you know what a tabo is?
No.
Have you ever had a Filipino friend explain to you what this?
No.
This is nasty, but it's not nasty actually. It's pretty clean. But it's this like little bucket, right, that you have, and if you go into any Filipino household, you might see like this little bucket, this little panhandle thing that carries water.
Okay.
And we basically use that to wash ourselves after we take a dump.
Okay.
So imagine that. Imagine explaining to like any American, or if I date like a white girl. Like, I mean, being in college, I've used toilet paper for the longest time, and I'm used to it. I haven't used a tabo in the longest time. But I remember explaining that to some friends. They're like, ew, that's nasty. You're touching your ass. Like, first of all, we might be cleaner than you guys because we're actually wiping it with soap and water, and we're getting in there. I'm just kidding, but like we're cleaning that shit up literally. While you guys are wiping and leaving that debris in there.
The germs are still there.
The germs are still there, right? But that's like another thing to explain if you didn't know. It's TABO, tabo. It's like this little like.
Got it.
You got it.
I'll check it out.
It's just like this podcast is informational, guys. So you guys learn something new. You learn about what a tabo is. But why did I even talk about this? Oh yeah, it's about relationships. I forgot.
So you want your partner to understand what a tabo is and respect it.
And respect it. Don't be like, ew, what the fuck is this? Like, no, come on. Like, hey, like my mom might use that, like.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense to my mom. But but I mean, what's cool too, I guess, like I gotta give it props. Like Filipinos, like we're hospitable. We love having fun. Like, karaoke every party. It's a feast every time.
I love that.
Like, and that's what I like about like what you're doing, I guess, in that you're encouraging other Asians to be proud of, like, especially like there's a lot of positive things that we have.
Of course.
A lot of Western cultures can model off of or should model off of, right?
Definitely.
I guess the last thing we'll talk about is like, how do you think that goes into play in terms of entertainment? Because like we're at an interesting time now. I mean, let's just talk about Rich Chiga. I mean, it's Rich Brian now, right? It's
Rich
Brian.
Brian.
Amen.
Oh,
okay,
man.
like I haven't listened to the album yet, but I don't usually listen to this guy. But props to him because he's putting Indonesia on the map. He's doing his thing. He's like you said, right? Just you know more about him. I would say. What do you like about him?
I'm no expert, but
you know more than me because I haven't even.
But honestly,
fully
I
listened.
just find it so amazing that this kid, homeschooled kid from Indonesia, English is not his first language. He learns English through YouTube, the internet, watching various shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he just comes out with a viral hit, and now he's #1 on hip hop charts.
Wow.
On iTunes.
Let's go.
You know, that's an insane story, and
that inspires me.
honestly, I would have expected, like, say, an Asian American to get there first.
Yeah, but that's
Right?
crazy. He's not. Yeah.
But this goes to show, how much the East now has to offer, and I guess America is more welcoming to it now.
Yeah.
And he's not the only artist with 88 Rising,
Right.
the hip hop collective, but a lot of those artists really good. And this is not just hip hop, right? This is going into movies. China has a huge influence on what Hollywood makes now.
Right.
For at least their big budget films. China only allows a certain number of Hollywood films, I believe, to be shown in the year. I think it's
Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
it's around 5 or 6. So those big blockbusters, they definitely have to incorporate some sort of Chinese culture in there, or they film it in China or something.
Right.
Something that the audiences will love.
Okay.
So it's like not the most recent Transformers. One of the Transformers was filmed in Hong Kong.
I stopped watching Transformers when Mark
man,
Wahlberg started going. I'm
it's-
sorry. Just
most of them are trash.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The cars are cool,
Yeah.
but it's
Films like Kung Fu Panda.
okay.
Yeah. Chinese people love
Oh,
pandas.
dude, the Kung Fu Panda.
Everyone loves pandas.
Man, Jack Black, dude, that movie's dope. Okay, so I guess how do you see that inspiring your own? Like, what do you want to do? Anything in entertainment, creativity wise? Like,
Yeah, well, definitely. I've always enjoyed creating. I grew up playing piano and in the choir, so music's very much a part of what I enjoy doing.
okay,
Karaoke is one of my favorite activities. Not gonna lie.
they're getting like high tech with that. They're having like trap songs on there. Like I think
Yeah,
Hotline Bling
yeah.
was on one of my uncle's karaoke sets.
Yeah.
I was like, this is stupid. Like,
I love it. How the Korean karaoke places, you get the score.
oh
when
yeah.
when you sing really well, you get a good score.
Yeah, it's like
if
an
you crash and
affirmation.
burn, everyone knows.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, music has always been a big part of my life, and now seeing, Rich Brian, skyrocket. I also love listening to hip hop because of some of the poetic elements in it, and how you can convey so much meaning through the lyrics subtly. You don't have to say it straight up. In pop music, it's just very
It's
very
more
explicit,
poetic.
and
It's the rhyme schemes and that.
exactly.
So I guess
I've been very inspired by
Okay.
his recent progress, and I want to write my own rap
Dope.
songs in the
Let's
future.
go, man.
Yeah, just as a hobby, but honestly,
You never know.
all this progress has been so inspiring.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have to sign off? Do you have any advice for any Asians that I guess don't want to do the status quo of being a doctor, engineer, right? For Filipinos, nurse. No shame to those people that are doing that. Respect. But
Yeah,
there's
we
some-
need doctors. And
we need those
nurses.
people.
Yes, we do.
But there's also people that deep inside I know they have creative things they want to share, but thankfully people like Rich Brian, we got some example of a front runner of wow, it's possible,
Exactly.
you can make it. So what is your words to I guess some more of our not only our Asian folks but anybody that's I guess more of a minority in the entertainment aspect or anything that they want to do creative, what would you tell them necessarily?
Yeah. I mean, I think the key thing is to know your value and really know what you can offer. Whether that's tied to your culture per se, you can decide for yourself. In some ways, hey, maybe you might get more recognized if you are Asian comedian per se.
Right.
You know, they're gonna make space for you. You know, I saw
Right.
Hassan Minhaj yesterday at USC.
Wow,
You know,
okay.
he gave a talk, and you know, we talked a little bit about that, like how being brown, you know, both helped him and also inhibited him in his career. Really recognizing what you can offer to the industry, to the market, but also, you know, staying authentic to your roots, I think is important, because, you know, you don't want to be a sellout. You know, you might make a lot of money, but
True.
in the end, what kind of legacy are you leaving?
Right.
What people are you inspiring? I mean, ideally,
Yeah.
you know, I would want, if I were an artist like that, you know, I would want to inspire the future generation of Asians, you know, to be able to pursue, you know, their creative aspirations. And, you know, it is a difficult journey. I mean, entertainment is difficult for everybody,
Yep.
especially for minorities. But,
Yes.
you know, to continue striving and hustling, and yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Definitely. That's good. That's really good. Yeah. To let you guys know, me and Jason are gonna work on something, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, you know,
You'll see
produce
something
the
soon.
next crazy thing, you know.
Yeah.
Putting Asia on the map with hip hop. But yeah, I guess we're good with that. I guess end with a toast, you know. Any shout outs? Cheers to our Asian culture, man.
Oh man.
Any shout outs to anybody? Just random, who cares? Just shout out people. So people you want to thank for
Of course, you got to shout out to your family. So
Yes.
shout out to my family for
Yeah.
making it possible for me to be in America, and accepting and encouraging and supporting me to pursue my own aspirations, even if I'm not with them. Of course, they would love that, but thank you for that. Of course, my girlfriend, Rebecca, she's been very supportive in everything I do.
Yeah.
And shout out to all the Asians
Yeah.
watching this. Hopefully you're inspired, and then everyone else, keep striving, keep thriving.
Yeah, go make them beats.
Yeah.
Go eat that food. Go represent.
And try some Hong Kong food.
Try some. I gotta go that.
Try some Hong Kong food.
I gotta try that. What do you say? That baked pork chop thing?
Yeah.
I gotta try that.
Yeah,
sounds
it will
amazing.
change your life. It'll change your life.
Okay, that must be a must. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out, guys. This is LaynoProd. You're tuning in to. You've finished listening to LaynoProd, episode 1. LaynoProd, the LaynoProd podcast.